lesson plan, hopefully. So anyway, what I wanted to do today is go over problem 4-1B, 4-1B. So again, you guys have problem 4-1A for your homework. So we'll do 4-1B together. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Oh, hot dog, hold on. And I will, when we're finished with class, I will post this into Brightspace as well. So we all have the answers to it in Brightspace also. So this is problem 4-1B. And what we're looking at here is our 10-column worksheet, right? So let me delete one of these columns so it is in fact, right? So the unadjusted trial balance, those are the first two columns, columns 1 and 2. And then the adjustments that we're going to make, debit and credit column, those are columns 3 and 4. And then the adjusted trial balance, columns 5 and 6. The income statement columns 7 and 8. And then the balance sheet columns 9 and 10. So this is that 10-column worksheet that they talked about in chapter 4. And so we're going to get some practice with it. And so all it's asking us to do in this problem, and again, let me put it up here. This is problem 4-1B, right? You guys have problem 4-1A for your homework. So you have one, you know, exactly like this. It's just going to be different numbers. And with that in mind, like I told you previously when we've done problems in class together, you can use this Excel file. Like I said, I'll post it in Brightspace. You can use this Excel file for problem 4-1A. It'll have the same accounts. You'll just need to change the amount. So anyway. These are our 3 adjusting entries down here. Hopefully everybody can see them. We have an insurance adjusting entry, depreciation, and supplies. So those are the only 3 adjusting entries that we're going to do together. And so for this one, and I'm looking here in our book, it starts on page 186. It says the trial balance for Mason's Insurance Agency as of August 31st. After the firm has completed its first month of operations is shown on the next page. So then it goes on to page 187. It shows us this trial balance information. It says record the amounts in the trial balance columns of the worksheet. Complete the worksheet by making the following adjustments and lettering each adjustment. So again, we've got these 3 adjustments down here. Hopefully, we can all see them right down here at the bottom of our screen. Okay, so let's do these together. So letter A, the first one, expired or used up insurance. So just like we've seen in class together, we would debit insurance expense for what, $260. And then credit prepaid insurance. My fingers will let me type. Let's see, credit prepaid insurance for $260. So that's what our first adjusting entry would look like. And again, we'll go ahead and record it in the adjustments column. If we look here at our expenses, we do not have an insurance expense account yet. So again, we just need to create it. Insurance expense. Oh, hot dog. You know what? That's what's funky about these worksheets. Sometimes you got to clear the formatting so it'll let us, you know, type stuff in. So we want to put in insurance expense. And we're debiting insurance expense for $260. Should just be a letter A there. Right, we're debiting insurance expense for $260. And then here's our prepaid insurance asset account. We are crediting prepaid insurance $260. Right, so that's what we would look like after our after our first, oh, hot dog, I put letter B. Hold on, let me fix this. After our first adjusting entry, and I'm just going to highlight it since we've already got that one completed. Let's see here, highlight it. Okay, that one's finished. Okay, the next one, letter B, depreciation expense on the office equipment is 900. So we did get practice calculating depreciation expense on Wednesday. But again, on this one, it's just giving us the number. We don't have to calculate anything here. So letter B, we would debit depreciation expense for 900 and then credit accumulated depreciation for 900. All right, so once we calculate this or record this rather, we can look here at our expenses. We do not have depreciation expense yet. So again, we just have to enter it in or create the account, type it in. So depreciation expense, and we're debiting depreciation expense for 900 and then crediting accumulated depreciation, which usually accumulated depreciation's right up here near office equipment. They don't have that one in there yet. So again, we're just creating it. So accumulated depreciation, and we're crediting accumulated depreciation 900 is what that one should look like. All right, so we just completed the second adjusting entry. Again, we only have 3 of them in this example. The last one, letter C, supplies used 200. So again, we do our adjusting entry for the amount that we've used. So letter C, we're going to debit supplies expense for 200, credit the supplies asset account for 200 is what that one would look like. And so once we record this in our adjustments column, again, we look at our expenses. We don't have a supplies expense yet. We just need to create it. Supplies expense. Letter C, we're debiting the expense for 200. That's the amount we used. And we're crediting, here's our asset account up here toward the top of the trial balance. We're crediting the supplies asset for 200. Okay, so those are the only 3 adjusting entries that we have. Let me highlight this one. We know we took care of it. Any questions about our adjusting entries so far? Looking okay, hopefully. All right. So the next step is to update all of the balances on our adjusted trial balance. So cash did not, many of these accounts, really, I could say, did not have an adjustment to them, right? So we're just essentially copying and pasting the balance that was already there. Cash is one of those. So we did not have an adjustment to cash. So cash still has a debit balance of 3,527, right? Same thing with accounts receivable. Accounts receivable did not have any adjustments in this case. So accounts receivable still has a debit balance of 1,219. Supplies did, however, have an adjustment. So supplies started with a balance of 492. And then we credited or subtracted 200. So now we're down to a balance in supplies of 292. Prepaid insurance, again, did have an adjustment. We started with a debit balance of 1,362. We subtracted or credited the account for 260. Now we're down to a balance of 1,102. Remember, we don't make any adjustments, any direct adjustments anyway to office equipment. So we're still at the original cost of the equipment, $3,939. Accounts payable did not have any adjustments either. We're still at a credit balance there of $2,071. Owner's capital did not have any adjustments. We're still at a credit balance of $9,020. Owner drawings, again, no adjustments. We're still at a debit balance of $1,900. Commissions earned did not have any adjustments either. We're still at a credit balance of $3,520. Rent expense did not have any adjustments. We're still at a debit balance of $1,695. Travel expense, no adjustments, still at the debit balance of $225. Utility expense, no adjustment. We're still at the debit balance of $198. Miscellaneous expense, no adjustments. We're still at the debit balance of $54. And then when we get down here to insurance expense, depreciation expense, accumulated depreciation, supplies expense, again, these accounts had a zero balance to begin with. That's why they weren't on the unadjusted trial balance, right? They didn't show up there initially because they had a zero balance. So insurance expense, we debited for $260. So now it has a debit balance of $260. Depreciation expense, we debited for $900. Now it has a debit balance of $900. Accumulated depreciation, we credited for $900. Now it has a credit balance of $900. And then finally, supplies expense, again, started at a zero balance. We debited it for $200. Now it has a debit balance of $200. And the formulas were already in here, you know, to add them all up. We can see it here at the top, what that formula is, but we can also re-enter it just to get some practice with it. So equals the sum. We start our parentheses. We select all of the cells that we want to add together, end parenthesis, equals, right? Same thing here, equals the sum. We start our parentheses. We select all of the cells within the range that we want to add together. End our parenthesis, press enter, it added it up for us, right? Okay, these ones, I'm going to go ahead and just delete the formulas out of there so we can get some practice doing it ourselves. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this for a minute. Hi there, everybody. This is so much fun. All right, so again, I'm just going to make another announcement on it for anybody that just joined us. Make sure you type your name into the chat so that I have a log of everybody that attended our Zoom meeting today. I am also recording this, so for anybody that wasn't able to join us, they'll be able to hopefully watch the recording at a later date. But is it looking good to everybody? Yeah, we know this. We're doing good. Okay. Let me share my screen again and we'll get this thing finished up here. Okay, so now we need to, so we've completed basically the first 6 columns, right? Remember that, and I'm going to get out my handy dandy pen here. Remember that, we're on black. Okay, so this is column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, column 6, right? So now we're going to work on column 7, column 8, column 9, column 10. That's our 10 column worksheet, right? So the nice thing about column 7, 8, columns 9 and 10 is we're really just copying and pasting the numbers from the adjusted trial balance. So any accounts and amounts that should be on the income statement, we're copying and pasting over to the income statement. And any accounts that should be on the balance sheet, we're copying and pasting over to the balance sheet. So remember what goes on our income statement, just revenue minus expenses equals net income. So we just want to highlight our revenues and expenses. We are going to have to take accumulated depreciation out of there though, because remember, accumulated depreciation is a balance sheet account, but I'm going to just go ahead and copy this range of cells. We'll paste them over. We'll subtract or we'll delete accumulated depreciation. So Control C, copy, Control V, paste, but we want to just paste the value. So if we paste the value, it just gives us the numbers. And again, we can just delete that accumulated depreciation. So we've only copied and pasted over from commissions earned down, right? Those are our income statement accounts. Commission earned is our revenue account, and then all of the expenses, right? So we can total these up, equals the sum, start our parentheses. We can select all cells that we want to add together. Close parenthesis, enter. So our total expenses, 3,532. And then we'll do the same thing here. We just have the one revenue account, but that's okay. Select our cells that we want to add together, close parenthesis, 3,520. So again, the 3,520, this represents our revenue account. The 3,532 represents our income statement account. And so what we have here is a net loss, right? Because our expenses are greater than our revenue. So we're going to say equals revenue minus expenses. So that gives us, again, that net loss, negative $12. And that is what they show us as a check figure in our book. On page 187, they show us that check figure, that net loss, $12. Okay, so now we can say equals our initial expense amount plus nothing here. If we had a net income, it'd be listed here under expenses, but we don't. And then here equals our revenue plus our net income, net loss in this case. And what am I doing? Let's see, it's a negative number. So I guess we need to, let me re-enter this because we want to get it to equal. So equals 3,520 minus the negative. There we go. Because we want that after we consider our net loss, we want it to be equal debit, credit column. So there we have it, right? So we just transferred over our numbers. The difference between revenue and expenses is that net loss. We're going to see that here in a minute too when we prepare our income statement. So is that looking okay so far? Let me check this chat. Okay, good. Those are just names in there. No one has any questions yet. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing on our balance sheet columns, column 9 and 10. We're just going to transfer over our balance sheet accounts, the amounts in our balance sheet accounts. So that goes from cash down to owner drawing. And then again, we will have to copy over that accumulated depreciation as well. That's a balance sheet account. So copy. And then Control V is paste. And again, it's given us that funky value message because it's not transferring over the formulas. We just want to say paste our values. And then it just pastes over the numbers. And the only other one we've got to transfer over here is accumulated depreciation. That should be here on the credit column. All right, now we can add these up, and as we're going to see, we're going to be $12 off between the debit column and the credit column. Because remember, when we prepare our statement of owner's equity, we transfer that net loss over to the statement of owner's equity, and that flows to our balance sheet. So when we add up our columns, we're also going to have a $12 difference from that net loss. So we'll see that equals the sum of all of our debit column amounts equals the sum. We start our parenthesis, select all of our credit column amounts. And again, looking here, we can see, yeah, we're off $12. So we're going to have equals our debits minus our credits. And again, that gives us that $12 loss. And then to add up the columns after considering the loss, normally we would take our debit balance plus our net income. We didn't have net income in this case, so it's 0. So it's just $11,979. And then here we're going to say equals our credit column amount minus that net loss. Oh, hold on, hot dog. So this one we've got to add then to get that 11,979. Okay, so that is our 10 column worksheet that we have just completed together. This is actually all that this particular problem is asking us to do. After this point, we would be finished with it. But for problem 4.3a, we also have to prepare the financial statement. So I want to go ahead and get practice with it anyway. But do we have any questions so far with what we've done here? Looking good, like it should, yeah? All right, so let's prepare our financial statements and then we will be finished. So I am going to go ahead and hide some of these columns so that we can just focus on the adjusted trial balance, because that's the only information we need to prepare our financial statements. So I'm going to hide those columns, and then I'm going to hide the income statement and balance sheet columns. Really, all we need to prepare our financial statements are the adjusted trial balance columns. So we will do our, remember, we do income statement, statement of owner's equity, balance sheet. So this is, what's the name of this company? Mason's Insurance Agency. And we can, to make it fancy, merge these cells and center. And now this is our income statement. And again, we can merge these cells and center this. And then our date, this, oh, hold on. No, it's not December, it's August. August 31, 2022. We'll just say 2022. You see how it formatted our date funky there? You know, it bugs me, and so we can fix it. So format cells, we'll go to our date, and we want our date just like we entered it in. Now it fixes it for us, and again, to make it real pretty, we can merge and center. Okay, and just, you know, because it's more fun, I'll change it to a different color here. This one looks pretty. Okay. So now we've got our income statement title, right? And so we want to list our revenues first. In this case, our revenue account is called commissions earned. Commissions earned. And we have what in our commissions earned? $3,520. That's our only revenue account, so that's all we need there. We can list our expenses. And so our first one, I'm just going right down the line. Rent expense, we have $16.95. Travel expense, we have $225. Utilities expense, we've got what, $198. Oh, hot dog, not 1980, Jess. Miscellaneous expense, oh man, I'm messing up my own stuff here. Miscellaneous expense, what do we got? 54. Then we have insurance expense. And maybe we'll, you know, make these columns a little bit wider so that it'll show all of our expenses. Depreciation. Depreciation expense. 900. And then the only other expense is our supplies expense. And we've got 200 there. I'm going to go ahead and just widen these columns a little bit so we can see it all of our expenses there. I guess it really doesn't need to be quite that wide. But okay, so remember, we've got more than one expense, so we want to have a line that says total expenses. We're going to add them all up, so equals the sum of all of our expenses. And we already knew this, right? Because we added up the columns on our worksheet. So we already knew that our total revenue was $3,520. We already knew that our total expenses were $3,532. Our very last line here, net, and normally it would be income. In our case, it's going to be a loss, equals revenue minus expenses. So again, we see that net loss there. And if we wanted to, we could put this in the red, right? Since we have incurred a loss, we are not in the black, as they say, we are in the red. All right, so just a fun fact, maybe some of us already knew this anyway, but that's why they call it Black Friday, because usually that's when companies will go from having a net loss for the year to then they go into the black, right? They actually earn an income. That's why they call it Black Friday. So I don't know, fun fact. All right, anyway, so we've completed our income statement. Now we need to do our statement of owner equity. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to paste it. The only thing we just need to change this because it's not our income statement anymore. It's our statement of owner equity. Wait. Okay, so as we have gotten practice with before, we start by taking our beginning balance. Beginning balance in capital. And I'm going to have to make these, extend these out a little bit. So we have let's see, column width, it's at an 8 right now. Let's make it a 12. That might be better for us. Okay, so beginning balance in capital. We look over here at our owner capital. We had 9,020. So that's our beginning balance in capital. We're going to add. Okay, so normally we would add net income, but remember we had a net loss. So we're going to have to say less our net loss. And that equals the, not, oh, that equals our $12 net loss. And then remember, we also have to subtract owner drawings, but I'll go ahead and just do the sum of these first two. So equals the sum of these two. So after subtracting the net loss, we'd be at 9,008. And then again, we also have to subtract owner drawings. So less owner drawing. And we had an owner drawing of 1,900. So ending balance in capital is equal to our 9,008 minus our 1,900. So there's our ending balance in capital, 7,108. Between the net loss that we had and then also the owner drawing, and I don't know, it drives me crazy that it's not lining up on the right-hand side like it should. So I'm gonna fix it. Maybe not. Anyway, our owner capital balance decreased overall, right? Between that net loss and the owner drawing. So we're at an ending balance in capital of 7,108. All right, so now one more financial statement left, and that's our balance sheet. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it. And it's not our statement of owner's equity anymore. Now it's our balance sheet. Make this column a little thinner so we don't have so much. And then what did I make these column widths? Well, all right, let's do the same thing for these three. So column width, make it a little bit wider for us. Okay, so as we know on our balance sheet, that formula, assets equal liabilities plus equity, I think at this point you've heard me say it at least 50 times probably, right? So we're going to list our assets first. And I'm just going to go right down the line. So cash, we have 3527. Then we've got accounts receivable. And we've got 1,219 there. Then we've got supplies. We've got 292 there. And we have prepaid insurance. We've got 1,102 there. And then office equipment. And remember, we want the net amount, right? I'm going to put that here, net. And so that's going to be equal to the original cost of the asset, 39. And let me just select the cells here. So when we're going back and looking, we remember. So that's the original cost of the asset minus accumulated depreciation. That gives us that book value of the equipment, 3,039. And that's our last asset account. So we can say total assets equal the sum of all of our assets together, close the parenthesis, 9179 total assets. Okay. The next part of this, again, assets equal liabilities plus equity. So the next part of this, we list our liabilities. And we just have one accounts payable. And what do we have in AP? 2,071. So then we'll go to our equity. And remember, this is our ending balance from our statement of owner equity, owner's capital. And again, we use our 7108. And so our very last line here, oh, hot dog. Our very last line of our balance sheet, total liabilities plus equity equals total liabilities plus equity, 9179. All right, so just like that accounting equation tells us it should, assets equal total liabilities plus equity, right? And we see that assets equal total liabilities plus equity. Okay, we are finished. Again, this is problem 4.1b. You guys have 4.1a for your homework. And for 4.1a, it wasn't asking us to do these 3 financial statements. We just had to complete the worksheet. But for problem 4.3a, which we're going to do an example of that in class together next week. For problem 4.3, we will have to prepare the financial statement. So I wanted to just go ahead and get some practice with it. So real quick, I am going to unhide all of these columns so it gives us the whole worksheet again. Let's see here. We got to select between these two, unhide. And then also before we got on the call, I hid the title. So I'm going to unhide that as well. All right, so there's the whole thing. And again, you guys are welcome to use this Excel file for your problem. You would just need to change the amounts to match with problem 4.1a. So anyway, I'm going to stop sharing. Hello again. All right. Yeah, so Shannon put in the chat for problem 4.3a, there's information we need from Cengage. There are beginning balances for problem 4.3a. So I will make sure, I'm going to make myself a note right now. I will send those beginning balances out by email like I did on the other one. So you guys have them. Thank you for reminding me. I would have remembered when we did problem 4.3b next week, but okay. And then did everybody type their name into the chat also, so I know who's here? Make sure that you type your name into the chat if you have not already. And welcome to my home office, but by the way, it's a lot nicer than my office on campus, that's for sure. Oh man. All right, anyway, any questions, guys, before we get off of here? We doing good? Feeling good? Okay. All right, well, thank you for joining the Zoom class today, and I will see you guys on Monday, or no, not on Monday, holy smokes. Remember, it's fall break Monday and Tuesday, so then we'll meet again on Wednesday, okay? Bye, guys. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.